Okay, welcome. So we've got some people from the US. We've got three from the US who've just joined on the chat. Another one from the US. Welcome. So we've got quite a few people here today, so it's going to be mostly me and Francis talking for the first part, but do type in the chat. And if you're watching this on the replay as well, welcome. You are part of the space. You are part of Creatives Connect this evening. We've got someone in Austria. And yeah, so my name's Jemma Rosenthal, if you've not met me before. And I'm with Francis Goodall tonight. And the topic is going to be healing trauma, creating pleasure. And I've been excited about this topic all today, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, we've got someone from Seattle. Great. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, India. Namaste from India. Woo! Not used to having so many people in this group. Normally it's my little group. But Francis has brought loads of people. So I'm really, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Francis, for bringing along people. And we've got UK as well. I actually have a few more people joining tonight as well. So yay, we've got nice, lovely group tonight. So to start off, we're just going to do a meditation because before we can heal any traumas or create any pleasure, we need to be in our body, really, and ground into safety. So we're creating a safe space for you tonight to just relax into this moment. And if you want to close your eyes, you can. Let me just get my singing bowl. Just gonna use the singing bowl so you just listen to the sounds and listen to my voice and allow your eyes to relax, your body to relax. Okay, so taking a deep breath in through the nose and out, and you can make a sound if that feels good to you, just dropping into the body, breathing in and out, and again. And if you put your shoulders to your ears and then dropping them, and you can make even more of a sound. And again. One more time. And bring the shoulders back and forward. And just moving the neck side to side and round. And just coming back to stillness. And just notice, where is your breathing? Can you feel it in your belly? Can you feel the cold air through your nose? You don't need to do anything with the breath, but just notice it. Just allow the body to settle into this moment, this present moment. And if you want to, you can place a hand on the heart and one on the belly, or wherever feels comfortable to you. And just feel the breath again. And we're joining here tonight to start the process of healing our traumas. Obviously, we're only here for an hour, so it's not going to be necessarily a full healing in this moment, but we can start the process. And if you're already on the journey, we just continue it. And know that wherever you are in this moment is absolutely perfect. However you're feeling, just notice it. Notice if there's any tension in the body and just start to feel. How does your body feel in this moment? Feel your chair, what you're sat on, whatever you're sat on right now. Feel it supporting you, holding you, keeping you safe in this moment. You are supported. And also listening to any sounds. Right now I can hear the birds because I've got windows open. So just listening. What can you hear? And if you can, find a place in the body where you feel most safe. So for some people it might be the feet or the base of the spine, or it could be your heart, your belly, wherever it is for you. Just feel right now, where do you feel most safe? What part of the body represents safety to you in this moment? Just tune into that part of the body and imagine that that part of the body is sending safety to the rest of your nervous system. And know that anything that arises this evening, any triggers or thoughts, emotions, know that it's all welcome in this space. And when you're ready, start to move and stretch. And you can make sound if that feels good to you. And we're ready to start the session and do some introductions. I'm actually getting a bit hot. I'm going to take my jumper off. That feels good, like a good start to this topic. Yeah, I am smiling. And you can see my cheeks are glowing right now because I have been literally so excited to do this topic, and the fact that Francis is here to share it with us is amazing. So thank you, Francis, for being.
Oh, thanks for hosting, and having me on your not your channel, but your
Oh, it is
event.
a channel with the YouTube. It'll be on the channel.
Yeah.
The group. Yeah. So how to even start? I suppose I better give an introduction to myself. Shall I go first and then we'll
Sure.
introduce you and then
Yeah.
you can. I know
Yeah.
I've been talking a lot, that's all. So I'm anxious to
You
get to your part, but I think it'd be good to introduce Creatives Connect actually
Yeah.
first. So if you have not been with us before on Creatives Connect. Some of you have, some of you have been on lots of these Zooms with myself, and you might be on the WhatsApp group as well. So anyone that would like to join the WhatsApp, I will try to get a link for it. Or if anyone else, I have another call. No, I'm going to ignore that. Um, so I'll try and share that later. But basically the ethos, the premise of Creatives Connect is that I'm a creative myself. I do a lot of different things. I sing, write, dance, act, do poetry. I've been in books. And I felt like I was doing a lot of wellness things, trained as a life coach, did Reiki, and I felt like there was this bridge of the two worlds that I love, which is creating and healing. And I wanted to merge the two and also create a bridge for the healing arts and the performing and creative arts. So Creatives Connect was born and Creative Hearts YouTube channel and my Instagram and all the other uh, things that I've put out there on my website, which I'll also share in a bit. And yeah, so I coach creative people, but creative is just a term I use that isn't necessarily that you don't have to be a singer to be creative. You might be a coach or a healer or somebody that's just interested in sharing their truth. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself. I also have been through mental health, a lot of mental health issues, and I've healed myself through the practices. So everything that we're sharing today, these are techniques that we have lived. So we're not just, you know, the we're not just sharing them with you because we've learned them in the head. These are things that, well, Francis, you can share a bit about yours in a minute, but for me, this is something that I do absolutely every day in terms of practicing some type of pleasure practice, or whether it's pleasure practice or meditation or using my singing bowl or something. I do it every day. So and the impact that it's had on my life. I also had coaching sessions with yourself a while back, didn't I?
Yes, that's
And
smaller, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's been amazing. So, Francis, let's get to you. Tell us a bit about yourself for anyone that doesn't know you on here or might want to know a bit more about you.
Yeah, so well, really, when I was quite young, only 19 years old, I got chronically sick and went on such a deep journey to figure out how to be healthy again. And yeah, that involved lots of meditation, lots of yoga, lots of soul searching, lots of therapy, coaching. And yeah, 5 years into that journey, I got fully well. In that time, I also had quite a strong spiritual experience. Could have been labeled as some mental health issues as well at that time in my early 20s. And then around once I was fully better, I basically started training in lots of different therapeutic and coaching modalities, starting off with a bodywork modality, which is how I initially started my work, was just face-to-face working with people in Sheffield, where we both live. And then I went on to train in coaching and hypnotherapy and NLP and emotional freedom technique. And then in more recent years, internal family systems, which is now forms a big part of my work, working with our psyche as a map of parts. And then again, in more recent years with Layla Martin, who's a sex, love and relationship coach and has this coaching certification, which involves a lot of somatic practices, a lot of embodiment practices, a lot of practices working with pleasure as a healing tool and a tool for awakening to our greatest joy in life. And yeah, and also family constellations work. I'm also fascinated by ancestral healing. So many things that I'm fascinated by, but the majority of my work has been being a coach for the Gupta program, which some of you I know will have come from that today, because I mentioned it in a meditation I was running yesterday through the Gupta program. So for anyone who doesn't know that, that's a brain retraining program around neuroplasticity and how we can rewire our brains, our nervous systems for health. So yeah, that's been a lot of my work for a long time. So I do group work as well, and I also run a community for women around healing chronic illness and healing in general, healing trauma as well. And yes, we have calls every month. That's online. Yeah, and I also run retreats and do other things as well. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Remember that you can comment in the chat if you relate to any of the things that we're sharing or if you've done similar work. I think one of the things I always remember is when I was on the Zooms where there was a lot of people. This is why I started small, and it's I do really like that, the small events where people can share and connect in that, the
Hmm.
circles, which we will do a little bit after if anyone wants to stay after the recording. But it's something, about us sharing our experiences and being heard and held and seen. Maybe we could start there, actually, because I think part of the thing with trauma and trauma healing is being able to witness it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And being able to, now be able to look back and to digest what didn't feel digestible or didn't have the capacity to process at the time.
Mm,
But, building that capacity within ourselves now to be able to do that. And that might look like, some basic nervous system regulation practices, some, yoga nidra, some spending time in nature, ways you can resource yourself. It might look like having a therapist or a coach to go deeper, a somatic trauma coach or someone who really gets that journey to support you, to hold space for that. But really bringing your present day self, your adult functional self, to any inner child parts that are wounded, or parts can be wounded in the womb. Parts can also carry ancestral burdens as well. But yeah, partly the healing is about those parts being witnessed in their feelings, in their experience, but with yourself there now, and perhaps probably also with somebody else there holding the space and supporting that as well. Yeah.
yeah, definitely, and it's to do with the heart as well. Part of the reason why, it's creative hearts of what I named my business is because I think the heart is such a important connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of evidence as well that, like, when we can connect to our heart centers and live in our hearts more and find it can actually bring more coherence to our whole systems.
Mm,
Even just like a simple practice like putting your hand on your heart and just imagining yourself breathing in and out of that heart center. And
mm.
yeah. And yeah, in IFS we talk about the self, like developing self leadership, and that self is our compassionate, caring self. And there's other qualities as well, but I often feel like it's quite emanating from the heart, that self. Yeah.
Yeah. So if somebody, I'm going to imagine that I'm somebody that hasn't done any of this work before, because there might be people here where they're just starting the journey. So, what would you suggest someone that might be just starting the journey, might be feeling traumatized or have chronic illnesses maybe, or they might have mental illnesses? What would you suggest would be the first step? I know you said to work with someone else and have that supportive system. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
still got a bit of a cough. One second.
Yeah. No, it's all good. Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of first step, I mean, I think yeah, kind of building up resource and capacity. So that could look like there are very simple, like I mean, I'm quite into the EFT,
Tapping. Yeah.
yeah, tapping or holding points, and I've got lots of videos on YouTube. I won't to give a big intro to EFT right now, but it's an energy medicine tool that works around on the meridian system, but also supports that. nervous system and our brain, and yeah, trauma healing as well. And
Mhm.
it's quite gentle. Sometimes it can also sometimes bring up stuff that's in the subconscious as well, but it's pretty gentle compared to something like EMDR, which can be a bit more directly into it. So it's a good self-help tool that you can use yourself.
Mhm.
But also, yeah, things like spending time with nature, yeah, like spending time really orienting to this present moment, and if you're not in a safe space now, like really finding places where you feel safe and really reminding yourself, I am safe now. And even just simple things like looking around your space, and like I was like looking at the tree outside my window, finding anchors for safety for your system. Um, and even just simple things like bringing your eyes around and orienting to this present moment, can really support nervous system health and building up capacity to be able to feel what's not being felt, to be able to start to process what's not being processed in a way that feels healing, yeah, and not too overwhelming. Because that's, I think, often the fears of parts is that if I feel all this, I'm just going to get overwhelmed. It's going to be too much. And it's, acknowledging that protective system within us for going into the shadow places, going into the pain, because they're there for a reason as well. But it's, building up that capacity to honor those, but also in time to feel what's not being felt and to give that some space, but not in a way that you're overwhelmed by it. With your present stay self there, your compassion in the here and now, present for your past self. So yeah. But yeah, if someone's chronically sick, like when I first started healing from chronic illness, I just did a lot of lying down relaxation practices. Um, you know, things like even just simple things like yoga, I was gonna say not yoga nidra, but yeah, yoga nidra is great, like for lying down practices, but the breath work practices like the alternate nostril breathing, the humming breath, which is where we kind of hum on the out breath and breathe back in. There are these, great tools that we can use to support us
Mhm.
to regulate, to resource ourselves. And then also a very simple one is to a visualization of safety, like you did at the start, like finding that safe space that we already can connect to in our bodies, even if it's just like one finger or something, or
Yeah.
a toe, finding that safe space in our systems and just feeling that and inviting it to spread around more of your system.
Yeah.
But another one is to like visualize a space of safety. It might be a particular place in nature that feels really safe. Like I often like to go to a meadow with a river at the bottom and lots of flowers around me. And yeah, so finding a sort of visualization that for you feels like a really safe space, whether that's, near water, in a meadow, in some woodland, or with a tree. And it doesn't have to be somewhere it could be if there's somewhere you've got that you like to go in nature, or it could be just somewhere imagined. And it could also involve bringing in sort of representations of love for you, or spiritual support of some kind, or if they're, an ancestor or person in your life that you do feel really safe with, it can also involve bringing in that sort of, yeah.
I'd like to ask if anyone wants to type in the chat, what are your techniques for creating safety? And what was the other thing we just spoke about?
Yeah, creating safety, building up the
Safety.
capacity to be able to heal and bring some healing and integrate trauma and
Yeah.
yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the things that a value of mine when it comes to this group is connection. And sometimes if somebody's talking and then I I like to have it equal in terms of participation, if that makes any sense. And I know it's hard to do equal when it is more people, but at the same time, you do have a voice. Um, and if
Yeah.
you want to, you don't have to as well, because I know that some people just want to listen, and that's okay. Um, but yeah, if you want to share, I'd absolutely love to hear some of your techniques, some of the things that you try.
And we could keep it anonymous, perhaps,
Yeah,
by
we can
just
keep it
just
anonymous.
reading
We
just
don't,
reading out
yeah,
the
that's
the
what I'm
the
saying.
words, not the names. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we won't read out names, but we'll just read what some people have put. Making art and doing fitness, especially outdoors. Yes, absolutely. Cultivating self-compassion. I'm out and about if I'm out and about and I feel unsafe because of overwhelming chronic symptoms, usually I do a meditation where I visualize being back in my bed at home where I feel super safe and I imagine being surrounded by all my teddy bears. Oh, that's so lovely. Reiki, essential oils, art, being near water. Yes. Hugging my pets, EFT, which is what we just mentioned, yoga nidra, gardening, meditation, dancing, climbing puts me in a mindful state, writing, meditation, and a run. So we've got a lot of kind of similarities in the things that people do to cultivate this self-compassion and this safety. Joining in healing spaces in groups with caring, healing others just like this. Yay.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. It is community. Community is so important when it comes to creating safe spaces. Because I did a live the other day which said, we can't heal alone. We have to connect with others, and especially others that are trained in these type of things is very good to do. Well, not just trained, but people that practice doing it on
Mm.
a regular basis.
Mm.
Nature walk, sing, laugh, breath work, doing, I can't read that.
I think it's Bideko breathing technique, yeah, which is it's a great breathing technique that can, like, specifically was often help with asthma, but actually it can support us all to retrain our breath to have optimal breath, and can be very calming for the nervous system as well.
Yeah. Um, and Francis's healing meditation, yoga nidra, going for a casual walk, sunny outdoors on my lounge chair on a sunny day. Oh, lovely. Yeah, so what I was going to mention is that we've got some things that everybody has mentioned about being outside is one of them, nature. We've got laughter, feeling understood, community, hugs, lots of exclamation mark, cloud watching, lying on grass, kindness, and faith. I love that. Yeah, so we've got about community is there on a lot of them, exercise, art, sitting on the beach on a sunny day, walking on the beach. I have more energy there. I don't know why, but I do. I was visualizing, I've got some pictures of the ocean on my vision board, and I was looking at it the other day because I can't remember. Oh, yeah, because I'd been unwell this week. I'm recovering. I'm almost there now. I'm almost there. Still got a bit of a cough, but I'm almost there. And one of the things that I did in the morning was I would look at my vision board. I'd look around me and see what can I look at that's going to calm my nervous system. And one of the things was the pictures of the ocean. And then that led me to think about sounds. Okay, let me put on some sounds of the ocean to listen to. So I do a thing in the morning that I call it my Claire's practice, but it's because claircognient, clairsentient, clairaudient is all the different senses. But then also it's normally called the five senses. So I just changed it up. But basically you can go through each of the senses. What can I see? What can I hear? What can I smell? What can I taste? What can I touch? Oh, that's a good idea to put the sound on too. Might start using that. Yes, definitely start doing that. I might see if I can send one in the chat. Or you can probably find you'll be able to find if you just type in ocean waves sound,
Mm.
loads come up.
Mm.
Um, and they're all slightly different in terms of the frequency of what it sounds like and what it looks like, but yeah, definitely worth using sound 100%.
Yeah, yeah, and I like that you talked about working with all of our senses and how
Mm.
powerful that can be. Yeah, yeah.
Even now, I'm just spraying some sprays, which on the one hand, it goes on my skin, so I can feel it going into my skin, but I can also smell it. So it's got quite a sweet smell. It's called Sunrise New Dawn, um, Archangel Metatron's healing sprays, and yeah, it's finding things that ignite the senses, but also calm them. So it's that balance between activation and calming.
Mm. Yeah. Lovely.
So my next question, Francis, would be we will go on to the pleasure side.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was time for
That was
that
a
now.
little
Or...
lead in.
Yeah, yeah. Senses are great to work with for pleasure as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like, but I guess I haven't. I mean, a big part of my journey was healing trauma. I didn't realize at the time of getting chronic fatigue that a lot of it was to do with trauma. It was kind of only later on, or as I was healing towards the end and afterwards, the fact that I still had some trauma symptoms, even though my fatigue was generally better. But yeah, just to say that leading into pleasure, which seems a bit of a strange lead in, was that I found that the more I healed my trauma, the more capacity and I had for joy and for pleasure as well. And even to the extent that actually, like, I suddenly started to be able to have more fuller body orgasms and things like that. I was just like, oh wow, this is an interesting side effect of healing trauma. I wasn't kind of anticipating that. It's quite a
Do you
yeah,
think
good
the
side.
opposite can happen as well? So by practicing pleasure, you have not less trauma in the sense of, so I think the way I experienced it was like by doing the practices, it's almost like a meditation. Well, it is a meditation where you're focusing on the sensations rather than the thoughts.
Hmm.
So the
Yeah,
thoughts might be there and you're noticing them, but if you can focus on the body,
yeah.
on touch or smell or whatever you're sensing in the moment, that can then automatically heals trauma because you're recalibrating your
Well,
system.
yeah, you can kind of rewire your system from pleasure and joy, actually. And
Mm.
part of that isn't just about just focusing on the trauma and the darkness and the pain. It's also about creating the space and prioritizing things that bring you, perhaps initially starting with very simple pleasures. Can you just really enjoy the feeling of your bare feet on the ground? Can you really take a moment to appreciate the feeling of sun on your skin? Making some space just to like gently bring some pleasure to your body through touch. Really enjoying the smell of a flower or the smell of essential oils or whatever it is, but really, yeah, smelling the roses, taking time to really appreciate the beauty that's around and the pleasure that is available in our embodied experience and prioritizing that. And there's also like breath massage practice for women can be a great pleasure practice. And Yeah, and what else was I going to say? That yeah, and then of course you can build up depending on how where you're at. But for example, with the Layla Martin training, I mean, some people were like she's overdoing it. She was like she made us all do like hours of pleasure practices, hours and hours. There was just so much we had to do to certify. It was a bit crazy, but she also, very spoke very much about how we can actually sort of almost bring pleasure through our pain to support the healing process. And that might not be where you start on the journey of healing trauma. We've spoken a bit about that, but it is somewhere you can go.
Yeah.
So like sometimes in the night I not anymore. Maybe, I mean, I'm not saying it will have gone forever, but I used to wake up with weird trauma symptoms in my body at night and like in sort of fear and stuff just coming through. And I started using pleasure practices to then, change that energy and relax back to sleep. And I also kept on doing my trauma healing work in other ways with IFS. It doesn't happen anymore. Um, and yeah, there are ways we can kind of bring pleasure to a difficult state and transform it.
Mm.
Um, in a positive way. I mean, I guess sometimes, if someone gets a bit addicted to, say, sex or something, it's a way of avoiding pain, or addicted to
Uh,
eating
this
things
is
that
where
feel
it
it,
gets
it's
it gets a little bit like it's one of those topics which there's the two extremes. So
yeah,
you've got people that indulge so much in it that they're avoiding the trauma,
yeah, using it to avoid
using
it or
it to
numb
avoid
it.
trauma,
Yeah, no
and
awareness
then
of it.
because you can get addicted to it, and then that's not healthy. So
Yeah,
that's why I tend to prioritize talking about how to create safety,
yeah,
because if you go straight to pleasure and just about, how much you can orgasm or have pleasure in your life, or, anything to do with sexuality, unfortunately, that can get, well, people use it as well to manipulate. And I do see certain, I'm not having a go at anyone that's you know, coaching it, but I can see that it can be taken over. People can use it as a way to, get loads of people to give them attention, or, money, or it can be co-opted
yeah,
in a quite a dark way, actually,
yeah,
in relationships as well. So I was thinking about this. Yeah, so this I will answer this question sort of, well, I'll say what I was going to say, but then I'll also answer this question because it leads quite nicely onto it. So,
yeah,
well, not nicely onto it, but as in it leads onto it. So I was thinking about this today around relationships. How is this helpful to people in relationship? And I wasn't thinking about it in terms of partners, and obviously it's helpful for partners to connect more to each other and to have more joy and more pleasure together. But I was thinking of it more in terms of how to avoid toxic connections.
mhm,
So, because I was thinking a lot of people get drawn to unhealthy dynamics because they don't know how to feel their own power
mhm,
in their
mhm,
body, and so then they think it has to come from someone else on the outside. So then it ends up these dynamics which perhaps are unhealthy.
mhm.
I don't know if you've got anything to say on that before I answer the next question.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't mind contribute on that one as well. But yeah, that I think the more that we can connect to pleasure within ourselves and empowerment, and actually connecting to our sexual energy, it also can be a source of power as well. And connecting right to the root of our bodies and really feeling our connection there, letting our energy flow and move through our body. That's a real source of power and aliveness for us. Yeah. So when we can do that, and also when we're not relying on a partner to experience states of pleasure, it's empowering, and it sort of means that we're showing up more as our more empowered full self for meeting a good match for that in terms of relationships. And yeah.
So, got a question. How would pleasure and sexual healing work with those with trauma whose trauma stems from sexual abuse, presumably through lots of inner work and various therapy modems first, otherwise feels too risky? Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to
You,
mention just Layla Martin just because
yeah.
her story was, well, I don't know if I can share her story here,
Well,
but
yeah, you can, because
look
she's
at,
got it all over
she's got it
YouTube,
all
and
over
she
YouTube
she talks
anyway.
about it all the time. Yeah,
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 but she had severe, was it severe sexual
yeah,
traumas, basically from her
yeah.
parent,
From her dad. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So that's how she got into this line of work. That's why we're both talking today, because of we have to give Layla Martin props.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's why we're talking about this. We still might be friends because we'd be talking about the spiritual awakening stuff probably anyways, but
yeah, yeah,
but the sexuality side of it comes from Layla Martin, and her courses. Um, I I couldn't afford the full course. I was gonna that originally I wanted to train as a sex and relationship coach, but then I decided that actually my lane probably would be more on the creative side. So I stuck with that anyways. But who knows? It may develop more in this way, but I'm grateful to be able to share some of the stuff that I've learned over the journeys because it is something that I've worked a lot on. Um, so the way that yeah, with sexual abuse, it's gentleness, self-care, self-love. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And like you say, there's sort of the perhaps focusing on the kind of inner work first and gradually bringing in sort of the pleasure practices. I mean, I know, for instance,
Yeah.
Layla Martin, I think did start quite young with tantric practices, but she was also having lots of therapy. I know she's had a lot of therapy,
Yeah.
and there is abuse, there is sexual abuse in my family system, and as a teenager I certainly experienced things that weren't good in that realm, so that was a part of my healing journey as well. And but yeah, the sort of tantric stuff and the pleasure stuff did weave in, from quite early on in the journey as well, but it's that step by step bringing healing to those parts that are carrying trauma, carrying memories, really bringing so much tenderness to those parts, and safety, and letting your system know you're safe now, and and really gently working with the idea of bringing in pleasure as part of that healing process as well. And yeah.
Mm. I suppose it's every person's journey is unique, isn't it? And what
Yeah.
what you need in one moment might not be the same as another person's needs, even if they had a similar trauma, you know. Um, so I suppose it's about really going within and asking yourself, what is it that I need right now? What did I need when I was a child or a teenager or whatever age? If I could go back to that girl now or boy now, if you're a man, um, what would I say to her? How
Yeah.
would I parent myself? If it's even if it's not dealing with sexual trauma in the family, if it is, obviously you're dealing with that, you need to reparent yourself in a way, but also even if it's outside of that you've experienced the trauma, it's still about reparenting yourself because maybe you didn't get the support that you needed, or maybe you didn't know how to cope with it because it was too scary to talk to a parent about. So the reparenting thing is definitely a thing that I'd recommend. It's something I've done with myself, and I have had sexual traumas, but they haven't been, I'd say they'd be on the lesser scale of what you'd consider. I know you shouldn't compare anything, but I'm just being
Yeah.
honest so that people know
Yeah.
that where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
But I have worked on those uh, times where it's dramatically affected me. So therefore, it needs to be dealt with. Um,
Yeah.
Even the things that people might not consider to be um, really worse traumas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there can be sort of different levels of
Mm.
trauma, and also, yeah, it's trauma isn't what necessarily what happened, it's what happened inside of you and what's not been processed or digested from that moment. And of course, trauma isn't just single event trauma. It can also be complex and developmental and relational, and can be more about what didn't happen in the case of neglect rather than what did happen. So yeah, and it also can be ancestral, and we can carry wounds of ancestors or things that haven't been processed in the family. So there can be layers of the healing journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got another part that says for extensive emotional abuse, how to develop an inner sense of safety. This trauma results from absence of safety. I find it very difficult to visualize safety and connect to the representation of love. These still don't feel safe. Do you
Mm.
mm,
Thank you for that question. Yeah, and yeah, whatever little seeds you can develop, and you might need to really work with a experienced therapist or somatic coach or trauma coach, like to go, deep into and have that safety with another human holding the space for you, helping to hold that really safe space for your younger parts. Yeah, and be patient with your system as well, because we talk about things like the power of coming into the body, and that's where the healing comes. And also sometimes our body cannot feel like a safe place to be, so it can take time to really feel safe to come into the body. And step by step, can you just come in a little bit more and build in a little bit more safety step by step. But yeah, thank you for bringing that, and just honoring that sometimes it's really not easy and it takes time to really, and yeah, I mean, even after doing lots of work, I still sometimes would have trauma symptoms show up myself, and then a part of me would be shame. It's like, I should be over this by now. I've worked so hard on here. It takes time. So just really honoring that, and there is hope. Our bodies are designed to heal from trauma. Yeah, and yeah,
to
Julia's.
read the question or
Do you have any recommendations for shame around sexual sex, around sex self-pleasure, coming from a essay background and a very religious upbringing? What's essay? I just feel
sexual
like
assault, I'm guessing.
what did you say? Social?
Sexual assault.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I just feel like the shame limits the amount of pleasure I can experience sexual abuse. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would, yeah, just really being compassionate to the part that's carrying the shame, and giving that one space. And one of the things that can really heal shame is to have safe spaces where you can share that you feel shame and name it. And it's a normal thing, and yet, yeah, we can almost, yeah, there's complex layers that can come from sexual abuse. We can almost carry the abuser shame. It's just like, you don't need to carry that, no. And yeah, but having a safe space where you can share that it's there, and inviting that shame to, as it's ready to move through your system, it might move into the earth, it might expand into the air, it might water, you might imagine water, you can work with it. Yeah, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but
Yeah, I do. I want to just touch on the the very religious upbringing thing
yeah,
because I don't know which religion it was, but if it was Christianity, for example, I think there's other examples in other religions, so I'm not picking on Christianity. But if you think about the story of the Garden of Eden, you know, it's it's all about shame. Um, the whole thing is about that they covered themselves, felt shame for being naked. So this is like built into a lot of religions, but also a lot of just the general myths and legends of of human nature. So it's not so much about blaming religion, but it's about recognizing that these archetypes, these um this recognition of shame being a part of human, I don't want to say nature necessarily, but consciousness or how we've developed as human beings. Animals don't tend to feel, I'm not saying they don't feel shame because I think they probably do at times, but they don't tend to feel shame in the way that we do around this kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for adding that around the religious aspect. It's a really important aspect, and I think it is partly about recognizing that, yeah, we can carry shame because we've been conditioned in a way through religion or society to carry shame. And how would it be if you'd had a completely different kind of programming around sexuality? You can kind of almost imagine, like, how would it be to have a community around me saying, it's your life energy, it's your empowerment, it's your birthright to connect to pleasure and your sexuality. How would it be to have a very different kind of empowering message, and almost imagine that for your younger self? Yeah, that can be helpful.
Thank you. Yeah. I do realize that we've gone quite
Should
deep
we,
into, yeah, go
we've
on.
got to, I was going to say we should move on to the practice now that I
Yes.
was going to lead, and then
But
we'll close the kind of just us talking bit and
yeah,
open it out
yeah,
a bit
I just
more.
want, well, someone's already saying this for me, but thank you so much for sharing on such difficult to subjects. I have to leave now. Blessings to you all. Thank you. That was what I was going to say as well. That we really appreciate you sharing what's coming up for you, and hope that this is helpful to have the space to share about it, and that our feedback can give some ideas.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna, yeah, guide you all through a little practice. Any of you who are up for staying, I'm just gonna do a little practice with us, just a gentle one, and then we'll have some time afterwards. We'll stop the recording and yeah. So yeah, if you want to just take a moment, perhaps to have a nice yawn and stretch. Just bring a bit of movement to your body. You might also want to sigh a little bit on an out breath. Hmm. And then taking a moment to just look around your space and perhaps outside your window if you've got a window nearby. Just orient to this present moment and anything that signals for you right in this moment, I'm safe. And then I'm going to invite you to close your eyes in your own time or have a soft gaze in front of you if that's more comfortable. You can put one hand on your heart, one on your belly for a moment if you like, and perhaps just explore gently extending the exhale a little bit, having a gentle smile at your lips. I'm just going to invite us into a little bit of the humming breath. So that's where we hum, send that hum through the nose on the out breath, and then breathing back in through the nose, and then humming through on the out breath.
Do you want me to mute myself
Mm.
or do the hum?
It's up to you. You can do it with me if you like. I don't mind.
Mm.
See if you can really feel the vibration of the hum in your body and just allow your mind to settle. And then I'm just going to invite you to just start to just gently bring some touch to your body. It might involve just gently stroking your arms, your face a little bit. You can just gently stroke, or if you want to massage a bit, you can do. Just gently bringing some touch to your body. Just inviting some gentle pleasure into your system with touch. And just feeling where it feels good, some gentle touch. If you can just gently wake up some little, even if just little pockets of pleasure in your body. And then I invite you to consider, just allow your mind to drift to different moments of what may bring you pleasure. So it may be just really simple pleasures, an invitation to perhaps imagine yourself feeling sun on your skin, or just whatever it is that helps you feel pleasure, whatever of these speak to you. Maybe perhaps having your bare feet on the ground. Perhaps a hug from a loved one. Perhaps enjoying the look and the smell of some beautiful flowers. Perhaps listening to the birds and Gemmas. Just allowing your mind and your body to drift to moments of pleasure for you, moments that bring pleasure alive through your body. And also, it may not be available in your system at all right now, and that's totally fine. However you are in this moment is fine. This practice is hard to see if you can be with what's present or what it's bringing up for you with as much compassion and care as you can. And you may see if you want to just bring a little bit of movement, just a little bit of gentle movements into your hips. Just a little bit of gentle movement into your hips. See if you can wake up a little bit of your sensuality, your sexuality. See if you can feel your life energy here, your life energy in your genitals, but also allowing it to flow up through your body. You might connect to that energy in the root of your body and invite that energy to flow up your spine. Just an invitation to flow up your spine on an in-breath and then back down the front of your body on an out-breath. You may have your tongue at the roof of your mouth. It helps with the energetic flow through your body. So you're breathing your awareness up your spine on an in-breath and down the front of your body, back into the root of your body, and then back up your spine, and just seeing if there's any pleasure available to flow through this circuit. Or just your breath and your presence is fine as well. So just taking 3 more breaths like that up your spine from the root of your body, inviting your life energy, your pleasure to flow up, and then dropping back down the front of the body on your out breath. And then coming back up your spine. 3 more breaths like that. And then simply feeling the weight of your body on the chair or wherever you are, putting your feet on the ground, feeling the earth beneath you as well as a support, as a resource. Perhaps if there's anything your system's ready to let go of now, you can imagine dropping it into the earth beneath you. Feeling nourished and supported by the earth. Feeling your feet and your hands. And slowly starting to notice any sounds around you. Perhaps wiggling your fingers and toes. Just really slowly starting to come back to remember where you are. Perhaps have a yawn and stretch. And take a moment to look around your space again. You're into this present moment again. Oh. So is there anything you want to say, Jem, before we stop the recording for anyone here live or on the replay?
I just want to say thank you because that was really beautiful. I feel really present and alive in my body. I got an itchy nose though. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just want
I
to say
got
thank you.
I,
I'm just so happy that this is something I've been wanting to manifest in my life, the opportunity to share this work. And I didn't know how to do it myself. So the fact that you're here and I'm able to do it in a safe way with someone that I trust, it really helps me to be able to deliver this important work. So thank you.
Amazing. Oh, you're really welcome. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, actually, I'll just briefly share if anyone is interested and you don't already know my work. My website is just my name, which is francisgoodall.com. If you sign up there, you get 2 downloadable practices. One is a pleasure practice, the other one's an IFS practice for deepening safety, love, and belonging. You also get a bit of a guide for healing chronic illness if that's relevant and of interest to you. And yeah, and I also do run the odd event in Sheffield for those of you who are local to Sheffield. And the next one's the 1st of June and the 15th of June, Family Constellations and Embodying Your Sacred Heart. And yeah, I've soon got a group program called Sensual Somatics for women as well around yeah, around embodiment, somatic work, and also pleasure as well, and womb work. So if anyone's interested in that, let me know. And do you want to add anything, Gemma, in terms of your work, in terms of like, I know we can put links below the YouTube video and yeah.
I'll do yours as well, your website.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a YouTube video that if you didn't watch before, I'll add that because that's got the links to our other pages. So we basically just gave an introduction to what you've just experienced. But if you want to watch it again, that's thank you so much for this. Well, I'm trying to read it again, sorry.
Says trauma can be very isolating. It just feels nice to be part of something with others on the subject, even if it's only for 60 minutes. Yeah. Well, I'm going to stop the recording now. That's okay, isn't it, Gemma?
Oh
And
yeah, I
then,
just
yeah.
want to mention if you
Oh,
go
yeah.
to jemmarosenthal.com and there's the Creative Hearts page and the courses. So I'm actually launching 2 courses in one. I mean, not in one, they're separate courses. So there's your Finding Your Voice course, which is all about speaking your truth. If you run a business, this course is really good for you if you're wanting to market your work in a really truthful, honest way. But also, if you're a singer, if you're a performer, if you want to be on stages or be on screen, this is a really great course for you because you're going to be able to um, experience your voice in a whole new way and be able to talk about the things that matter to you, to communicate, even if it's with your friends, with partners. Finding Your Voice course is the course for those things. And then the other course is slightly cheaper, but no less valuable in the sense of it's just a more compact course. That one's called the Creative Principles, which is based off a workshop that I did around just a download that I got these creative principles, 5 simple steps to get the creations that you want out there and done. But it helps you to tap into the creative life force. So, for example, if you're wanting to do events like this, if you want to be a coach and have, do courses, create courses, or if you want to create books or songs or poems or art, this course just helps you to clarify what you want to create and help get it out there. So they're the 2 courses I just wanted to share. that are new. Yeah, brand new.
Great,
Be the
great.
first. Be the first.
Amazing.
Um,
Thank you, Leah.
and
Thanks for having me.
yeah, follow me. I'll just put my at Jemma Rosenthal and at creativehearts.coach.
Yeah,
Oh, listen to my albums as well. So I realize I do so many stuff. So if people haven't known me before, you know, there's just so much to mention. But hopefully you'll find me. If you feel the spark, then we'll connect. I trust that. Okay.
yeah.
Thank you
Well,
so
thank you.
much.
I'm going to say thank you for having me on Creative
Yeah,
Connect. I'm just going to stop the recording now
yeah,
so
yeah,
everyone
sure.
on the
Thank you
replay.
so much. I'm gonna
Thanks
stop
for
the
joining
recording.
us.
Thank you so much, everyone.